Wepa, hello my friends. Welcome to Cocina con Mari. On another episode of Working from Home, why not take your lunch break and start cooking dinner early? Come on, let's get started. So we're going to add the olive oil. We're going to sear the pork chops. Get them all in here in the pot. I did 4 at a time. And then you just take your time making sure that they get nice and brown on each side. And then you're going to also stir them or flip them from one side to the others because you want to get it nice and golden brown. And I mean, there's so many different things that you can do with pork chops that people really don't do much with them. So I figure instead of just frying the pork chops, let me make some chuletas en salsa, pork chops in sauce. It's delicious. And if you make it right by taking your time, they get nice and tender and it'll be bursting with all these flavors. Oh man, just talking about it's making my mouth so watery right now. So now I'm taking the rest of the pork chops and I'm doing the same thing. I'm just searing them, getting them nice and brown on the outside. They're still raw in the inside. Just searing them real quick. That's all. I don't know. I would say maybe about 3 to 4 minutes on each side, or less if you like. It's just to lock in all those flavors. Once you finish searing them, take the rest of them out, set them aside in a separate plate or bowl or another pot. Anything just to set them aside. And then that bottom part of the pot, don't scrape that off. That's going to add more flavor. I added the bowl with water, the bowl that I used to season the chops. So the seasoning from that bowl is all in there with that water now. Then I take the thickest pieces of the chops and I'm going to add water and I'm going to let them boil because I want to let them slowly simmer until they get nice and tender. Then I'm going to add the rest of them because they're cut very thin. So that's why I'm waiting till like maybe the last 20 minutes or so of cooking to add the rest of them. Just to get them, like I said, nice and tender. You just want this to be fork tender. So that's how I like my meat. It's up to you on your preference. So that's why I'm checking here the meat to see if it's fork tender. It still needs a little bit more, but we're almost getting there. Now I'm taking these chops out and then I'm going to start preparing the broth. So now I'm just going to go ahead and pick up everything that I don't want in the broth. I'm adding my sofrito and garlic. Mind you that these pork chops were already pre-seasoned. I'm adding the sazon and then I'm stirring it in slowly. I'm adding 1 can of tomato sauce, 1 full can, and then a full can of water just to get the rest of the residue from the tomato sauce, the can. And then I'm adding the onion powder, garlic powder, adobo just to season it a little bit more, black pepper, and optional cayenne pepper. That's optional. I wanted it. You don't have to if you don't want to. Let everything blend in together. I'm going to add my pork chops again, the very thick ones, to slowly cook them. And I want them to start incorporating all those flavors from that broth. Once you leave it boiling for about 30 to 45 minutes on like medium-low heat, partially cover the pot with the lid. And then when you uncover it, it's going to look like this. Maybe up to an hour. But you just want to slowly cook them. The sauce got simmered down and reduced to what you see here. But now I'm adding the rest of the pork chops that were very thin. So I'm going to add a little bit more of water on that same bowl that has that seasoning. Add that water. And then we're going to let it slowly cook and simmer until the broth reduces down again to... You want it about maybe a 1/4 cup to almost 1/2 cup because I use a big pot. But you just want a little bit of sauce. You don't want it too watery. So that's the reason why. This is, almost getting there. It's perfect to me. It's just a perfect blend here and it smells so good while cooking this. And it tastes delicious as well. The pork chops are going to be nice and tender. And voila, this is what it looks like on my plate. And I'm trying it out. See that fork tenderness? It tastes so good. Oh, yes, it does. Telling you, huepa, buen provecho, mi gente. Enjoy. I promise you will.